Ryan, thanks for that introduction, and thanks for making sure that I appear to be electronically competent. So, with that said, I wanted to welcome you to the CABS program today. This program is taking off very, very nicely and very rapidly. And one of the things I wanted to tell you, I completed some discussions this morning with the third largest general contractor in the United States. They are looking to either have their people certified or as a CABS, or they are looking to require that their manufacturer suppliers have a CABS on staff. That's a pretty big change from just when we introduced the program in September of 2020. This program truly is less than a year old. It's gotten a lot of traction, but again, a lot of people are looking at it and how to use it differently. At this time, we've had double-digit people pass the examination, and there are 60 that have registered to take the exam and the certification. And again, this morning's conversation was very enlightening to me, where this general contractor is truly looking at requiring manufacturer suppliers to be certified as a CABS. The evolution of CABS has been coming for just about 19 years now. And it really began back when the ABAA started. And the first thing we had to do is to certify the installers and give accreditation to the contractors. Because at that time, as Laverne Dalglish, the executive director of the ABAA, will tell you, there was no trade of air barriers back in 2001. So the ABAA, through Laverne, went out to establish programs to certify the installers and achieve accreditation with contractors. Then it dawned on us back in the day that we didn't have any way to advocate for good material or high performing material. So we had to come out in 2002 to about 2006 with what we call the ABAA evaluated assembly and ABAA evaluated materials. These are materials that have gone through a certain sequence of testing, and these are assemblies which have gone beyond the material testing into some architectural physical properties testing to assure you great quality, good installation, and very high performance. Because one of the tests that we conduct is the ASTM E2357 test. And that test actually takes a full mock-up wall up to and including 99 mile per hour wind, both positively and negatively. So these are some rigorous tests that we are conducting, and ABAA has established the standard of excellence for air barrier performance. But it remained incumbent upon us to develop further than that, to have a certified air barrier specialist. There are other groups around, like the IIBEC or CSI, Spray Foam Alliance. They have their certifications, but no one had a certification for a certified air barrier specialist, which is what we began to develop in 2015, 2016, and it came to fruition in September of 2020. So we do have a certified air barrier specialist program ongoing, full throttle at this point. When you look at what a CABS does, a CABS is really the trusted air barrier advisor to architects, consultants, specifiers, and general contractors. But it must be said that those very same architects, consultants, specifiers, and general contractors can indeed, by themselves, become a CABS if they're willing to do the study and take the examination. So there's nothing to preclude anyone, including our own contractor base of ABAA, the certified and accredited contractors, of taking this certification program also. But now what we have developed is a real good three-legged stool. We have the contractor, they're certified. We have the manufacturer with their ABAA evaluated assembly. Now we have the CABS. And again, I'm getting a lot of phone calls from general contractors saying, can they be certified or should they require a CABS in the specification? The answer to both is yes, they can both work. When you look at a certified air barrier specialist, what is it? Well, it's an authority with very in-depth air barrier knowledge, offering knowledge, information, and assistance in proper design, ensuring correct specifications, installation, and testing. And we also offer unbiased industry learning units. And right now, if you have not been to the ABAA website, which is airbarrier.org, we do have a new thing out there called Learning Unit Cafe. Literally, it's a menu-driven learning unit. You can get learning units live, or you can get them recorded. But this is for a variety of architectural offices, or manufacturers' offices, or contractors who basically want to upgrade their knowledge. We're doing the live ones between pretty much 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And all you have to do is take a look at the programs you want. These programs are also a good learning unit for taking the CABS examination. So we're doing a lot to educate the industry, and CABS is just another part of that, but a much higher end part. When you do achieve your certified air barrier specialist designation by passing the exams, you're going to join the ranks of other esteemed certification programs, such as the Spray Polyurethane Foam Alliance, LEED AP, LEED Green Associate, all of those LEED programs. CSI has their Certified Construction Product Rep, their CDT, they have Certified Contract Administrator, and they have Certified Construction Specifier. So our program is a little bit above theirs, but nevertheless, these are very, very well-respected programs. What's involved with the CABS knowledge? It's comprehensive air knowledge. It's not just, if you're a manufacturer, it's not just your product. You've got to be able to walk into an architect's or consultant's office and give them complete answers on all the air barrier knowledge that's out there. Sometimes, if you're like me, because I'm 900 years old, you have to go back and look up some things and get back to them later. But you're there to be their technical advisor, their knowledge person. These programs, these certifications are highly respected and, most importantly, highly valued by the design community and by the consulting community. So there are 4 major parts of air barrier knowledge: materials, methods, and details, project design, on-site testing, and construction site requirements. They're not exactly split equally, but it's a pretty rough approximation. When you look at the materials, methods, and details, you'll need to know building science, air barrier details, not specific, but in general, the general principles behind air barrier materials. You'll need to know air barrier materials, accessories, components, and assemblies. For instance, if manufacturer A is chosen as a supplier and one of the subcontractors has manufacturer B through wall flashing, well, it'll be your responsibility to wave them off and say, no, you need to use manufacturer A's material. Manufacturer's corporate responsibility has to get down to ethics, integrity, truthfulness, and just the absolute knowledge that you have. And by that, I mean, we actually have a statement of ethics printed and on all of our learning units. Before we even begin our learning unit presentation, that code of ethics stands out right on the front end of the documents. Project design, there's going to be a lot of questions on this, but what you want to look at is the overall air barrier design. What did the design professional miss? What does the consultant need? We've got to develop the proper project specifications. And I want to segue a little bit. I had a phone call from an Austin, Texas architect just this week. And he said, Roy, you and I wrote these specs together, and this happens to be the spray foam that the subcontractor submitted. Well, the spray foam was not ABAA evaluated. It wasn't listed. and the contractor wasn't an ABAA certified installer or an accredited contractor. So that architect, just by that phone call, by the proper writing in the specifications, and by that one phone call to me, where I was able to do the research for him, he saved himself a real possible headache. And he was very, very appreciative of that information. The building codes, we have our generalized building codes with the International Energy Conservation Code 2015, 2018, 2021, but every geographical areas or geospecific areas has a little bit of a different tweak on some of these things. This is where you come in. You're going to know those tweaks, and you bring value to that project design team. Regional and industry standards, not all testing is done throughout the United States. You might have a city that has a preference for a different type of testing regimen, and you need to know that. Do you need to know the difference in codes everywhere? No, but you do need to have a general knowledge basis on those regional and industry standards. Remember, you always have the opportunity to go back, research it, get back to that person, thereby building your credibility even further. On-site testing, an awful lot of this lies with whether a consultant has been hired or whether our ABAA QAP, Quality Assurance Program, auditor is on that job site. And again, we bring the knowledge of the testing. You will know the basics of the testing that need to be done on all of these. Additionally, as commissioning becomes more and more widely used, you're going to be able to answer the commissioning person. You're going to be able to answer their technical questions very, very readily. Within all of this, if we do the first two above and we still have some problems, there are means and methods within this knowledge area that will allow you to suggest how to correct air leakage paths if there are any. But generally speaking, if you've done all the work on the front end, you are CABS, project specification requires an ABA evaluated assembly, project spec requires an ABAA certified or accredited contractor, and you're there, there's very little chance that something's going to go horribly wrong. Construction site requirements, this gets down to air barrier installation, and this program is not meant to replace anybody on the job site. It's an addition to, it's an enhancement. There is no charge for these services from the CABS. This is just a certification. So if you're a consultant and feel that the CABS is going to get into your business, no, they're not going to do that. If you're a QAP auditor, the CABS is not going to enter into your realm either. So everyone can maintain their separation, but again, the CABS is there to add to the knowledge base and help out with the project. So the CABS will be trained in air barrier installation requirements. They will know the ABAA material listing requirements, and they will know contract requirements or contract documents. So this is an addition. It's a pro bono addition to everything you're doing, and is making use of someone who is extremely knowledgeable and more knowledgeable than many, many people. Now, with all things, testing costs money. And this is the certification pricing that we currently have. We do not see it going up for a while yet. And, you know, the member pricing and non-member pricing, everyone has these differences. You do purchase online a CABS training manual, which is a very comprehensive study guide. I can personally tell you that the CABS training manual, if you're an insomniac, this manual will cure your insomnia. To retake the exam, because everything's in immediate feedback, will take $250, a non-member $350. Certification renewal, well, this is a little bit of a different program because CABS is an ISO 17024 certified program. So we have some different things to do. The other certifications I mentioned earlier, like the Spray Polyurethane Foam Alliance, LEED, CSI, they are not ISO 17024 certified programs. So for those certified programs, you'll get a renewal every 3 years at the cost of $250, and you do have to provide documentation that you've taken the appropriate learning units. Every 6 years, you do need to recertify for that 6-year period with learning units and other things that you can submit. And again, it's ISO 17024. This type of standard or performance or achievement is recognized by many areas of the federal and state government as the requirement for what they need from a certified person to be involved in their project. So you're already putting yourself, when you achieve CABS, you're putting yourself above many other folks out there, and you are the primary and best choice at that point. So what's available to you? I would recommend that at the end of today's webinar, go back to the ABA website, get the certification handbook. The certification handbook is an expanded version of everything that I discussed today as a program overview. It's an excellent guide for you to work your way through what you should and shouldn't know about air barriers. It will tell you what's going to be in the test. It will tell you testing procedures. When you get through the certification handbook and you're happy, you can then register for the exam and purchase the exam study manual. All that's online, everything's electronic, but the exam study manual will help you out tremendously. And folks, good, bad, or indifferent, I am here to answer your questions. You can call myself, you can call Ryan. Ryan was the voice at the beginning of this program. We're here to help you, and you may have questions. Feel free to call. CABS study resources, very honestly, there's a variety of them. You do have the study manual, our own internal ABAA industry newsletters and contractor newsletters are available to you just by signing up. Past issues of these exist at the ABAA website. We also have our ABAA live webinars, which you can take. And as I mentioned earlier, the Learning Unit Cafe, I get to do those pretty much anytime you need them. We have on-demand webinars, i.e., videos and whatnot. And we have a variety of online sources for the webinars and articles. It's really important that you get all the information that's out there. Again, this is a high-end test. This is a very high-end certification. You need to have a lot of knowledge. Are we going to ask you some stupid, mundane, goofy question? No. This test is designed to be a psychometric test. And what the psychometric test is it measures your knowledge. It doesn't, and a little bit measures your memorization, but it's not like the old school test. You can't memorize the whole damn book. And it doesn't measure your ability to memorize. It measures your knowledge. So each question is going to have 4 answers. Only one is correct, but it will have 4 answers. And a lot of times that'll click off your knowledge base to allow you to answer it properly. It is online and proctored. And some people have had a concern about the online proctoring because you do have to hand over your computer screen to a third-party source. We have an exceptionally reputable and credible third-party source that we work with called ProctorU. But this is not an open book test. No materials on your desk, and Big Brother will be looking through your screen at your desk. There's a maximum 4-hour time limit on this examination. Most people finish it in 2.5 to 3 hours. Those who are anally retentive will take 3 to 3.5 hours because their thinking process is a little bit different. Again, critical for you and your reputation. It's an ISO 17024 compliance certification, extremely high end. And the requirement is 80% plus for passing. Once you submit your exam, it's an immediate feedback situation. We have quite a few people in the San Antonio, Texas area who have already passed this exam and are very happy with themselves, as they should be. It's quite the accomplishment. So what is an online proctored exam? Folks, this is the new world order. It's monitored through your webcam and screen share. The proctoring group has visibility of your entire area. So there are, I went to college on a football scholarship. We had enhancement sheets, or some people call them cheat sheets. You can't do that in this exam. They will find out, and they will nail you right then and there. Everything will be executed remotely from ProctorU headquarters. ProctorU is available for customer support. You're going to need a Wi-Fi throughout the exam. So make sure when you get set up, you're going to have to make sure that your Wi-Fi signal is stabilized, strong, and is going to last the 2.5 to 4 hours that you'll be involved with the test. Additionally, everything is vetted through personal ID scan at this point. Now, I'm going to give you the biggest source of aggravation people have gone through. Listen to me very carefully. Do not use an Apple computer. Use something else that's much more compatible with all these systems. The biggest complaints we've had is with the Apple computer systems or their iOS. Everything else, the Microsoft systems work wonderfully well. We've not had a complaint. If you use an Apple, if you're an architect and use an Apple, it's probably going to take you 45 minutes to register for the exam to work out all the compatibility. So please get a ThinkPad of some sort, load it with Microsoft Office. You'll be good to go, no problems. But that's the biggest problem we have had. And no matter how many times we say it, probably a month from now, I'll get a phone call from a guy, or Ryan will, say, hey, I can't get my computer to work with this. What are you on, Apple? Forget it. So my advice to you, total exam time, it's going to take you a minute to log on, 15 minutes for the exam prep, which is the licensing agreements and examination instructions. It might take you 30 minutes total, from 15 minutes to 30 minutes to set up with your webcam, your ID verification. They're going to review your desk once again and downloading any extensions that you might need. Again, this doesn't seem to be a problem, and it's a shorter time period if you're using Microsoft. It's a much more laborious procedure if you're using Apple iOS. Your exam is going to take you, to me, 2.5 to 3 hours for the average, well-studied, well-prepared program. Again, there are some folks that think through things more slowly and differently. They may run up on 3.5 hours. But again, the average testing time that we've seen has been 2 to 2.5 hours. There is a clock limit on there. It will tell you when you're approaching the end. Upon completion, you're going to sign out, and all those procedures will be available. Your immediate results are going to be available via message and email. So normally within 5 to 10 minutes of completing that exam, you're going to know if you are a certified air barrier specialist or not. A sample question, because most people ask us, what does it look like? Again, you'll get a question and you'll have 4 answers. Only one answer is correct. So expansion joints are required where? This is the type of questions you're going to see, but only one of these is correct. The entire exam is predicated on this. The entire exam is predicated, again, on the psychometric area of testing. Steps to achieving CABS, when you're done with me, go to the website, take a look at what's there. That's the airbarrier.org website. We have that CABS, Certified Air Specialist Certification Handbook. It's there for you to download. It was written by a variety of us to comply with the ISO 17024 standard. When you're comfortable with the certification handbook, you have a good idea of what you're getting into, then you go to step 3, which is the registration form and the ordering of your air barrier specialist study guide. So you want to do 1 and 2 first, get a good handle on number 2, move to number 3 and 4, and just get ready to take your exam. I'm not the world's greatest student. I normally take 6 to 8 weeks to study for an examination. This was a higher end examination, as I stated. I studied for about 8 to 9 weeks on this and was fortunate enough to, quote unquote, be the first one to pass this examination. And no, I did not have the answers. This is what my certification looks like. I'm very proud of this. I am a CCPR by CSI, and I am a CABS. And the CABS certification means more to me than anything else because it is such a high-end test. So I wanted to thank you for your time and attention today. You've been very kind. I stand by now with Ryan to be able to answer any and all questions that you may have. But I want to stress to you again, the general contractors are starting to call me. Normally, they call me after they've had a problem job. Today's phone call and phone conversation was the 3rd largest GC in the country. And they're either going to require the manufacturer's supplier to have a CABS on staff, or they're going to require their own people to be CABS certified. So with that, thank you for your time and attention. I'll sit around for your questions.